Jen. Welcome to So Much Yarn, a podcast about my adventures and often misadventures in quilting, sewing, and knitting. It is wonderful to be with you here again today. Thank you so much for being with me here. It is wonderful that you have taken some time to watch and view and see what I have been up to. Well, we are in the month of April currently, which means I made it through March. Thank goodness. And March really did come in like a lamb and go out like a lion. Here where I live, we had some crazy weather. We had beautiful weather at the beginning of March, and then we hit some snowstorms, and then we had some wind squalls, and then it was nice, and then it did it all over again. March is also it became busy at school. The first week of March, pretty good. Second week, it was report card season, which is a lot, all in there. And then there's the run up to spring break. Everybody kind of knows that it's coming. They're excited that it's coming. They're looking forward to that it's coming. And there's always something, honestly, it's like cabin fever. There's something in the air around spring break where you just think, are we going to make it? Are we going to? Because the kids are ready for a break, and the teachers are ready for a break. The weather is starting to get nice. So there's a weird cabin fever that typically happens, and this year was really no different. I'm currently on spring break, which is marvelous. We've had a pretty good spring break so far. Looking forward to a bit more time on spring break. So that's kind of where we are. Before we get into everything today, thank you to those of you who left comments about stitch markers and stitch marker holders and things like that. I went in to find some things like that, and that was like little tins and things like that, and that was marvelous. So thank you so much for your help with that. That was very kind of you. And for those of you who are looking for information about what I'm going to talk about today, in the description below is where you can find me if you want to, as well as anything that I kind of talked about. All the information is down there with the links. So we're going to crack on and we're going to get into some quilting. I'm just going to lean down and grab it. So I am still working diligently on my BoHo Heart quilt by Jen Kingwell and Andrea Blair. And I have completed 44 of the 103 blocks so far, which is really great. I finished the 10-inch blocks, the 8-inch blocks, and I'm working my way through the 6, the 4, and the 2-inch blocks. And my mom had given me this nice box. Well, I think it was wrapped in a Christmas present. And it has been very handy to hold all of my blocks, which is pretty great. So I've been making my way through. There has been some really terrific ones that I've made. Let's see here. Let's see. I did the churn dashes this last little while, and I know for some of you who are watching, you don't know what that is. Let's see if I can find one. Oh yeah. Like right here, there's a little churn dash. So I worked on, some of those, which is pretty great. I did some, oh, I like that one. Hold on. I did some Grandma's Flower Garden with some hexagons. I did some X's and O blocks, the square and the square. That was an interesting construction. Let me just tell you that one. And then I did some X and O blocks. Let me see if I can find an O. Let me put this down here. This is a hot mess. So I did some X and O blocks here. So that's kind of what I've been working on. So I worked on those, which has been a lot of fun, and I'm still really enjoying that. So, my goal still is about 3 a week. As we go through, though some of these, because they're on the smaller side and they're calling for 4 or 5 blocks of each, I just do them all to get done that block. So 44 so far done, which is pretty exciting. So we're making our way. But you know what? I was thinking about it the other day, and I thought, okay, I've got 103. My goal is to kind of have that done by October-ish, November-ish, and then I'll be like practically done. No, I won't. Then I have to put it all together, lay it all out, and then put it together. So this may take longer than I thought, which I'm okay with because it gets me on my machine and that's been really great. But yeah, so maybe a little bit longer, but let's see what we can do with it. Well, that's really all I've been quilting, truthfully. I'm looking over at my machine here to see, like, is there anything else I'm missing there? No, that's really what we've been working on. So BoHo Heart, still working on it, still loving it. In sewing news, I have got some projects that I'm really excited about. There's a couple of dresses I'd like to make, some skirts I'd like to make, a really hip pair of pants that I'd like to try. I saw them on somebody the other day and thought, oh, I could wear those. I need those. So I'm going to take some time in the next couple of days and plot some of that out and see what I have and what could I use and that sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to some summer sewing. I always find that I can quilt all year, I can knit all year, but sewing clothes like garments, I find that in the spring and the summer, I really want to do that, and not so much in the winter, which doesn't make any sense because it would be a perfect time to do it. But for whatever reason, I sew more like garments, more spring, summer. So it's coming up to that season right now. Well, let's jump into some knitting. I have a few finished objects, 3 fully finished, blocked, everything, and 1 will be blocked today. So the first thing that I finished is my Reluctant Homeschooler cardigan, which I'm wearing right now, and this is designed by Caitlin Hunter, and I used the Cascade 128 Superwash, and this is Holly Berry. I'll show you my sleeve, which sounds really ridiculous, truthfully. And this was, I made the size 5, and the size 5 based on the yardage you needed and things like that, the amount of yarn you needed. I ended up having, I think it was about 10 skeins or something. I ended up using only 8, so I have 2 skeins left over. I did not add the little pockets because I was worried about misshapen pockets, because I like to put my hands in pockets. So for now, I'm going to leave it without and see how I feel in it without pockets. The other thing I was really concerned about was when I had first, I think I shared it on my last adventure, was I was concerned about the sleeve length being, at that time, it was like a bracelet length. But when I ended up, because my swatch, that was the thing, my swatch didn't really grow in height. I guess it stretched out width-wise, but it didn't grow so much in length or height. So I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to have a bracelet length cardigan. Oh, okay, well, let's see what happens. And in the end, after I blocked it, because it's bulky weight, it just, the whole thing sort of stretched out more than I thought it would, which is great because now it's at a length that I like on my wrists. It's a length that I like on my body. I'll put in a picture here of what it kind of looks like on me so you can see. But yeah, so I was really worried about it. And another thing I noticed in the pattern, and maybe it was just me, was I didn't see it said, bind off and then wear. And I thought, do I not block it? And that was my biggest concern, is if I didn't block it, I would have definitely had a shorter sweater and shorter arms. And I was definitely thinking, oh, I'm going to have to, if I make another one of these, I'm going to have to knit longer arms and stuff. But you know what? I blocked it to just even things out. And I'm so glad I did, because it gave me what I wanted. And so this one was, in, oh dear, a US 8, US 11. I think I said this already, but the size 5. And I would make another one. I like wearing it. It's nice and kind of cozy. I would like to do it in a tweed, and I would like to do it maybe with a tighter ply. Like, this is a fairly loose ply, 2 strands. I like something a little bit tighter, together, which I didn't know, a little bit more of a twist, but that's okay. The other thing I did, which I would definitely recommend if you made this, is at the neck, one of the things you have to do is you have to bind off. It was the most interesting construction I've ever seen. You have to bind off a little bit at the neck. And the first time I did that, and then I had to pick up along the sides and stuff, and I bound that off where I needed to, but it was too tight at the neck, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to wear this because it pinches. I have a kimono like that. It pinches, so I don't wear it. And so I ended up ripping it out and then binding off again. I bound off in the US 11 at the neck, so it didn't pull, and I was so glad that I did in the end, because now it just sits really nicely in the V, and so I like it. I'm cozy and nice and warm. So this is, again, The Reluctant Homeschooler by Caitlin Hunter. I'm sorry, I have a hair right on my nose and it's tickling me. The other thing that I finished, so that's a make 9. Another thing that I finished was the Molly Cowl by Shiny Superhero. Let's just find a little, there we go. So there it is there. So Molly Cowl by Shiny Superhero. Again, it was on my make 9. It is in Fiddly Dye Works SW Merino DK, that's the navy. So I'll just bring that a little closer so you can see. In Logan, and then the motif is in Vivid Yarn Studio DK in Harmony. And this is a terrific pattern. It's a terrific pattern. The repeats, though, are a little bit long. I really had to mark them and kind of pay attention. But even with that being said, it went really, really quick, and I really, really loved it. And it's done in like a US 4, US 6, and that's the pattern. I think actually she's in testing right now for a sweater in this. Could you imagine a sweater in this? If I could have been able to fit it in, I would have loved to have tested that, but maybe I'll just make it when it's out. Now, one thing I did, which I am not pleased with myself in, is for the bind off, it calls for a stretchy bind off. Completely, absolutely. I don't like things tight around my neck. And I don't always love the Jenny stretchy bind off. So what I usually do is I'll go up a needle size or two to bind off. Next time I'll only go up 1 needle size. This time I went up 2, and it's just so flary. It's not, I'm not as pleased with that. You can see that. So I always put that one then kind of at my neck instead, because I don't love, yeah, that was my mistake. Anyway, I will make this again. I will definitely make it again. In fact, I have 2 beautiful skeins of yarn that I would love to make it in. I just have to do it at some point. So that, the Molly Cowl by Shiny Superhero. Then Nate and I sat down and I said, okay, so we're done the bottom row of my make 9. Now where are we gonna go? And so after some deliberation, and I said, I don't want to do another sweater right now because this was a lot of purling and things like that, and I didn't want to do another sweater right away. And I had just done a cowl. He picked, and I wanted something kind of fast and instant. And so we went to the Tidings shawl, which is funny. Oh, I had explained this last time. So we went to the Tidings shawl. I've jumped ahead on something. So we went to the Tidings shawl, which is by Helen Stewart. It was one of the Knit Vent 2020 patterns. And the reason we went to it, and I do have to backtrack because I've made a mistake here. So we went across the bottom on the make 9. Looking for a new pattern, didn't want to do a sweater. So the next pattern that Nate picked was the Tidings shawl by Helen Stewart, Knit Vent 2020. And the reason that he picked it was because I was doing it kind of end of February, beginning of March. It was cooler temperatures and it was worsted weight yarn. And he thought, well, you don't want to do that in the summer. So why don't you do it now while it's still kind of cool out and nice to work with? And I said, yeah, that makes sense. So I knit it in Cascade 220. This is done, but it needs to be blocked. But because I'm in the space that I usually block in, I'm going to wait till after this. And it's done in gray. I'm just going to hold it back a little bit here. Hopefully you can see. So it's done in this gray. Okay, in this great kind of pattern. And then it's got navy. And then this pinky color is what they call Crabapple. And it's on a US 8, 5 mil, and it still needs to be blocked. But, oh dear goodness, I bet I look like a hot mess right now. Well, strings everywhere, but whatever. So that's kind of what it'll sort of look like. It's funny, I don't usually pick like pinks and things like that, but that seems to be my colors of choice right now. So that's my Tidings shawl. Now back to my Make 9. So once I finished that, I had said, okay, we need to pick a new pattern. I still don't want to do a sweater. I've just done something heavy, so I'm looking for something a little bit more lightweight. What do you think? And something fast, because those ones were lots of stitches, lots of purling, intricate, need something just kind of fast and a great done project. So we ended up picking oh dear, the Cheering Hat and Cowl by Helen Stewart. Again, Helen Stewart, Knit Vent 2020. And I was working on this, and then I just happened to finish it the other day. And I did this in Sassy Strings Yarn Studio, DK, in their Sangria color. So that's what it looks like there. It has this great side cable here. That's what the color is there. I did the adult size, and it is marvelous. I really liked the pattern. I loved the yarn. It really does. There we go. You know what? I can't actually ever see myself when I do these things, so I kind of go blind and hope I don't look foolish on the other side. You know what? Whatever. Let's see. So there we go. We're going to assume that I don't look like a hot mess, but that's okay. And so it gives you kind of this nice slouchy kind of feel here, which, you know, I like quite a bit. The yarn feels amazing. I don't block my hats. I like them snug around my head, so I didn't block it. I had this great pom-pom that I purchased from Stash Lounge. It was meant for something else, and then I traded it for this one because I thought the colors were really nice. It was stark, but not so stark. So this is my cheering hat, and I have the cowl that I'm ready to work on. However, spring break then happened. And I always like having a fun project during spring break. Something, and my criteria this year was I wanted something fun. I wanted something bright. I wanted something straightforward. So I had picked a Tamy Gore pattern. It actually came with my Advent kind of calendar that I had from Woolberry Fiber Co. this year. And I was going to do it with different yarns. I had a set of yarn, a really bright yellow, like yellow, not gold, but yellow, a green, and then a white with like neon speckles. And I thought, yes, this is going to be it. And it started in brioche. And as it got down, I looked at it and thought, no, the colors aren't right together with this. This isn't what this was meant to be. So I ripped it out naturally. So a couple of days of work, just ripped right out. So then I came downstairs, went through my buckets, trying to find, because I usually put the yarns that are meant together, that I purchase together for projects, in big bags that I pick up at the dollar store, like the big Ziploc bags, and a little cue card inside saying what the project it was intended to be is inside. And so I had that done. And I thought, yes, okay. So I went back through and I picked 4 or 5 bags out. And sometimes I don't want to make a decision. I don't. Any one of the 5 projects I think I would have been happy with. So again, I called Nate in, onto the decision. I laid them out. He's very methodical. This one looks more fallish, so maybe not right now. This one is more summer-ish. I think you'd want to work on this in summer. I put that aside. So in the end, he picked the Pixie Dust Shawl by Tamy Gore. That wasn't intended, but by Tamy Gore. And it is, I have it knit. I'm working on it right now in Hedgehog Fiber Sport Merino. I think I am at the end of a row, thank goodness. And this is what I have so far. So the colors that I have are this one here, sorry, there we go. And this one is Pollen. The next color in is Sari, S-A-R-I. And then the last one that I'm working with right now is Graphite. Oh, curses, I'm all tangled, I apologize. Is Graphite. So again, this is like an asymmetric shawl. This is sort of to get things that I try, think, oh yeah, this would be awesome. And then I look back at it in the video and think, oh my goodness. But there, kind of like that. So that's the one section I'm on. I have another little bit of eyelet to do, and then there's a brioche section. I don't mind brioche. I always somehow screw up brioche, so I'm really hoping that I'll be able to make it through this without having to tink back too far. But it's exactly what I kind of needed. It's really quite bright, as you can kind of see. It's really bright. I think it's exactly what I was looking for and wanting, which is awesome. So I am working on that right now before I jump back into my cheering cowl, which I will finish up of my Make 9. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm really only working on that. I have a pair of socks that I take along with me. They're upstairs. I have like that much done on the second sock, so I just didn't even bring them down. But that's what I'm working on right now. So my Pixie Dust Shawl by Tamy Gore in Hedgehog Sport Merino. Well, we're almost finished for today, and I'm going to wrap up today with some, what I'm going to call hashtag Don't Tell Nate, which really is some mail and some purchases that I've gotten in the last little bit. And my daughter and I have a little thing where when we go out and we do certain, like if we get a little treat or we end up doing some fun adventure that we think that maybe, like, don't get me wrong, my husband is super supportive and super fun and things like that. I struggle sometimes with not necessarily staying within some of my budgets. Let's really be truthful. So sometimes when we go out, Ella and I will look at each other and we'll say, don't tell Nate. And it's now become just kind of a catchphrase around things. So welcome to Don't Tell Nate. So Don't Tell Nate, where do I start? Well, a couple of months ago, my wonderful friends at Sassy Strings Yarn Studio. Hello, Sassy Strings. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Blaine. Good to see you. They were going to do their very first, Tracy was going to do her very first yarn club. And I thought, oh, yes, I'm in. And of course I'm in. I mean, I love their yarn. They are super amazing people. So yes, of course I'm going to jump in. And the picture that she had was this beautiful picture with pinks and purples, and it was going to be the inspiration for the yarn. Yeah, I'm in. Sounds great. You know, and then of course she's going to have some little knitting notions, a treat and a household kind of thing. You had me at yarn, but sure, Absolutely. Anyway, the package came the other day. It was such a treat, especially it came on a day where the school day had been a little bit of a fiasco. And I saw it there and thought, oh, yes. And let me show you a couple of things. So there were some treats. We had a couple of little candies. Came in a beautiful wrapped, and I'm sorry I didn't do like a proper unwrapping. She always includes, I love this about her, is that she always includes these fabulous like color catchers in her packages. So you place with the finished object and it traps loose dye, because I've had that with quilts before where a little bit of water got on it. I don't wash my quilt, like my hanging quilt, but a little bit of water got on it and the black dye ran onto this white fabric that I had spent like 10 hours hand stitching. There may have been a tear or 7 or 100. And so I love that she includes that. She also has in her package here, I'm going to put this just down so I can not have everything fall on me. She also has included these beautiful teardrop stitch markers in this gold. I like her stitch markers a lot. So those. Then there is this wonderful soap from Lamb's Soap Works, which is handcrafted in Airdrie, Alberta. So lambsoapworks.com. I cannot even tell you what this smells like. Oh, Jen. Oh, Jen. You know, sometimes I worry about myself that I love to say that I am observant. And then sometimes I prove myself completely wrong, because here I am smelling it and looking at the ingredients going, I can smell raspberry. It smells so fruity. I wonder what the flavors are. Oh, look at that. It says so. You know what? You're seeing the honest me. This is who I am. So this one is black raspberry vanilla bar. Of course there's raspberry in it. I mean, and look at that marvelous, like marbling. I don't know if that's what it's called, but oh, it's marvelous. It smells so nice too. And so looking forward to that. And then here, the yarn in Twilight is the color. It's on her basic sock, which is a 75-25 4-ply. Okay, ready? Here we go. I always feel like I could flip this the other way. Here, I'm going to bring it closer so you can see the colors. But there it is. So that was the March Yarn Club from Sassy Strings. I have a little, so it's got those beautiful pinks, mauves, purples. I don't know what it's going to be, but I think it's too good for socks. I don't know. It could be maybe a hat, like a light kind of fall spring hat, or another cowl. Maybe that Ho-He Hipster Light or Light Hipster. I'm sorry, I've got the name wrong. I apologize. But maybe that. So that came, and I am very excited about it. And it's beautiful, and I love it. And I'm stepping on things, so sorry. So that came. Now the other thing that came was something that I had ordered. And you see, March was a big month for me. March was my birthday month. I turned the big 40. That's right. You know, some of my students then, when I say that, because I have students who ask often, how old are you? Now, I was taught never to ask that question, but somehow it's okay now, I guess. And I'm not one to I've always answered the question. I'm 40. Hello. And my students will often it'll either go one or two ways naturally. Really? Oh. And then they talk amongst each other, and I think, do I need to find another skin cream? Like, is it not good? Oh dear. Where others then, there's always one really, bless their soul, really nice kid in the back. No, you're not. I thought for sure you'd be like maybe 30-ish. You're passing. That's what you're doing. Anyway, because it was my birthday, I felt, even though I was spoiled rotten, truthfully, Nate and Ella and my family spoiled me rotten. My friends spoiled me rotten. I did not need to do this, but I did anyway. Don't tell Nate. And I ended up seeing that Shirley Bryan Yarn was having an update on her deconstructed fade socks. If you have not seen these, please go to the link and have a look at them. They are amazing. I cannot figure out in my brain how she has done this at all, but I think they're just absolutely brilliant. And so I got a few. So the one that I first found was one called Aslan. Now I'm truthfully not sure 100% if she meant it to be named for Aslan, but you see the thing in my world, Aslan is the lion from Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. And Ella and I, and Nate had just finished reading them with her. And she just plowed through this series over January, February. And so I saw this and I thought, oh, it's Aslan. Oh, I'm getting that. And so that's where it started with Aslan. And my plan is I'm going to take one, because I can make 2 short-ish socks. Well, socks a length that I like, out of 50 grams, because these are 2 50 grams, 75-25, merino. And then the other one, I'm going to make a pair of socks for Ella, probably like a long pair up her leg because she's got tiny feet. So they'll be mismatched socks, but the 2 of us, that doesn't bother us. But Aslan, so I picked up Aslan. Then the next one I picked up was, because I love this color combination, is Ready Player One. I had read the book of that one, and I really like the colors of that, so that was Ready Player One. And they look so different. If you look, like I said, at the pictures of the finished sock versus, what they look like in the skein, they look so very different. And I think, again, how? But this is Ready Player One. Then I picked up this one because I loved the name of it. And again, teals, love a teal. And this one is an aquarium is a submarine for a fish. So absolutely, kind of more in the greens, not typical of me. Then this one, I don't know, I'm going with a lot with a theme here, if you know me. The next one is this combination here, which is don't procrastinate. Delegate to your future self. So that's that one there. Really pretty. Again, teals. I was worried once I saw them, they all look the same. But then when you put them kind of together, this one is more blue. This one is more tealy. Then the final one is one that I love, and it looks so very different in the skein. And I love it because I have a calendar from Mary Engelbreit, which is the artist is actually Mary Engelbreit. But Mary Engelbreit, I discovered her calendars a little while ago, and it's her wonderful illustrations, but in all black and white. And they're a little bit sarcastic, and they're a little bit pessimistic, and things like that. Like I'm looking at one right now, which is the illustration for, I would challenge you to a battle of wits, but I see you are unarmed. And I saw that, and that was actually the one that sealed the deal for me. And that was a quote by Shakespeare, and she has that quote illustrated. Now, one of her other months was the saying with this kind of cheeky looking girl with big attitude. I thought, yes, I could be that girl, where it said, underestimate me. That'll be fun. And I love that one. I have it even in a magnet at school, actually. And then Shirley Bryan had a yarn in this color, underestimate me. That'll be fun. right here. So that also found its way into the basket. And as my friend Lolly said, you sure treated yourself there. I did. Again, I blame it on my 40th birthday and thought, yes. 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 So that is my, don't tell Nate. Don't tell Nate. So that is what I've kind of got going on right now. My plan for the rest of kind of spring break is to keep working on my Pixie Dust Shawl. I first have to figure out how to knit socks toe up, because I am a top toe, cuff to toe sock knitter. So I've got to figure out how to do a toe up so that I can plan my yarn usage well, especially if I'm going to split Aslan with Ella. So that is what I've got going on. I'm going to block my Tidings shawl and then I'm going to work a little bit on trying to figure out which sewing patterns I want to work on. So that is what I have going on. What do you guys have going on? What are you working on right now? How is your weather? Are you getting spring? Or are you still getting winter squalls? We're finally, I think, in this spring, which is really great. And I hope you guys are all safe there and healthy. We are, I don't know what level of quarantine, lockdown, restrictions we are in. I know our provincial border have been put to another lockdown. So I hope you are doing well and keeping healthy and not going to stir crazy. Before signing off today, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me. Again, if you are looking for any information about anything that I talked about, it's in the description bar below. And I very much will look forward to our next time together and our next adventure. But in the meantime, I hope you do find joy in your journey. Bye for now.